became such a big deal back then is ever since my third album, I wasn't really taking large advances from the recording companies.
Prince was right at Diddy. Why Hollywood kills stars before they speak. I am aware that many of you have been pondering whether a relationship existed between Diddy and Prince, as well as all the things that Prince's music revealed about the industry. It is said that there was a strange link of some kind due to Diddy's agreement with Prince's record label.
I was recording the albums myself in my own studio, so the way I looked at it, I owned the work because I paid for it.
Warner Brothers. Warner was battling to accomplish the same goal. Diddy made years of money off the performers without paying them a single cent and banning them for revealing it to him. The conflict between Prince and Diddy became so significant at the time that Prince says, since my third record, I was making much progress from the recording businesses where I was recording the albums myself in my workspace. Therefore, how I considered, I was the owner of the piece since I paid for it and completed all the work myself. I made it because I thought it should be mine. I own the companies that I mentioned. They felt differently, and they would always show out this contract and comment, well, you signed it.
And I did all the work, I created it, so I felt like it should belong to me. That said, the companies felt otherwise, and they would always hold this.
And I replied, well, I get it. That doesn't mean I want to go. I would like to discuss this with you, itemize it, and determine whether we can't make it more fair. Naturally, they wouldn't alter it, since they wouldn't exist if they changed. That's the circumstance we're in now. They won't be around for very long. It's not as though we're opposed to them or something, such that the notion is that we discover improved methods of collaborating. Well, it shouldn't be the case. They are the owners of the record or piece of art. We are discussing intellectual copyright. Whether they will be a delivery service is okay, but FedEx does not claim ownership of the packages they ship. Prince gave Diddy a loan of his house for his parties, but he didn't go to the parties himself. As a result, Prince was suspicious of Diddy's identity. Completing the initial freak-offs, I attended a Diddy party at Prince's. You wish to visit Prince's residence, Tyrese's house at the Diddy party.
Contract up and say, well, you signed it. And I say, well, I understand that. It's not like I want to leave, I just want to...
Demi Moore, Ashton, and performing. The fact that Kutcher is swinging on swings is what's taking place on the opposite side of the wall. Hence, the single element that creates this party is not like a Jamie Foxx party celebration or another celebrity gathering that argues with a group of young ladies or Diddy. Is that right? Or dudes or anything. Diddy refused to let you in with your security. The third party at the Prince's estate was additionally a party to a lawsuit with Jay-Z, who also happened to be close to Diddy before the problem and his lawsuits. Jay-Z was involved in the distribution of Prince's song on the title Illegally Good.
You know, talk about this thing and see if we can't make it more fair. Of course, they wouldn't change, because if they changed, they wouldn't really exist.
Regretfully, things seldom work out nicely for those who reveal the identities of Jay-Z and Diddy. Record companies such as Warner and Prince tried to tell us to sit down, sweethearts, because things were going to get even crazier with all of this Diddy craziness. The issue about Prince, is that regarding control and ownership of Prince's songs, it sparked a struggle against any firm for a lifetime. He believed it prevented artists from rights and funds, which he allegedly paid the final cost of, that death. Warner Brothers' involvement, whether or not he is united, is still debatable. Yet, many admirers believe that they were involved in his passing. For some background, Warner Music signed Prince in 1977 at the age of 18, and even though his albums were ignored between 1978 and 1981, he was, nevertheless, maintained on the label.
And that's kind of the situation we're in right today. They're not going to exist much longer. But it's not like we're against them or anything like that.
He was recognized as a musician who embodied good work for Warner, which was a business that seemed to make long-term investments in serious talent. In 1982, Prince released additional tracks on MTV, and he placed in the US top 10 for the first time. He joined a brand new type of musicians who were aware of the ability of the music video to promote a performer and create their mythology and iconography.
The idea is that we find better ways of working with one another. It shouldn't be a situation where they own the album or the work. We're talking about intellectual copyright.
At this stage, by 1984, fans started imitating his appearance. When Purple Rain was released, he was perhaps the largest and unquestionably the world's most exciting pop star at that moment. As Prince was growing more prominent, he was able to establish his own Paisley Park Records, a label that Warner provided some funding for, which also managed its dissemination. However, he began to know that he was receiving less than he earned. He began fighting because he thought that was his right. He assumed it would just be as simple as informing Warner Brothers that he wanted to leave, but that was hardly the case. This annoyed him since that's what record labels then take part in.
If they're going to be indeed a delivery service, then that's fine. But even FedEx doesn't say that they own the thing that they
The preparation for the Gold Experience's release, Warner and Prince were at odds. I am aware that many of you have been pondering whether a relationship existed between Diddy and Prince, as well as all the things that Prince's music revealed about the industry. It is said that there was a strange link of some kind due to Diddy's agreement with Prince's record label, Warner Brothers, which was battling to accomplish the same goal. Diddy made years of money off the performers without paying them a single cent, and banning them for revealing it to him. The conflict between Prince and Diddy became so significant at the time that, ever since my third record, I was actually making much progress in the recording business, where I was recording the albums myself in my workspace. Therefore, how I considered, I was the owner of the piece since I paid for it and completed all the work myself. I made it because I thought it should belong to me. I own the companies that I mentioned, but they felt differently. They would always show this contract and comment, "Well, you signed it." And I replied, "Well, I get it, but I don't want to go. I would like to discuss this item with you and determine whether we can't make it more equitable." Naturally, they wouldn't alter it. Since they wouldn't change, this is the circumstance we're in now. They won't be around for very long, as if we're opposed to them or something, such that the notion is that we discover improved methods of collaborating. Well, it shouldn't be the case that they are the owners of the record or piece of art. We are discussing intellectual property and copyright.
The first Diddy party I went to was at Prince's house. So you want to go to Prince's house to the Diddy party where Tyrese is performing and Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher are swinging on swings.
Whether they will be a delivery service or not, FedEx does not claim ownership of the items they ship. Prince, on the other hand, gave Diddy a loan of his house for his parties but didn't attend the parties himself. Prince was suspicious of Diddy's identity and the activities at those gatherings. I attended a Diddy party at Prince's residence.
That is what's happening on the other side of the wall. And so the one thing that makes this party different than a Jamie Foxx party.
You wish to visit Prince's house during a Diddy party where Tyrese, Demi Moore, and Ashton Kutcher are swinging on swings. What's taking place on the opposite side of the wall? Hence, the single element that creates this party is not like a Jamie Foxx celebration or another celebrity gathering that argues with a group of young ladies or dudes, refused to let you in with your security. The third party at Prince's estate was additionally tied to a lawsuit with Jay-Z, who was close to Diddy before the problem, and his lawsuits. Jay-Z was involved in the distribution of Prince's song illegally on Tidal. Regretfully, things seldom work out nicely for those who reveal the identities of Jay-Z and Diddy. Record companies such as Warner and Prince tried to tell us to sit down, sweethearts, because things are going to get even crazier with all of this Diddy craziness. The issue about Prince was his struggle for control and ownership of his songs.
Or any other celebrity party that wrangles a bunch of young women or guys or whatever too.
It sparked a lifetime battle against any firm he believed prevented artists from accessing their rights and funds. The issue about Prince was his struggle for control and ownership of his songs. It sparked a lifetime battle against any firm he believed prevented artists from accessing their rights and funds. Prince believed he was paying the ultimate cost for that fight, which many fans speculated contributed to his passing. Warner Brothers' involvement with Prince has long been debated. Many fans believe they had a hand in his demise. To provide some context, Warner Music signed Prince in 1977 at the age of 18. Even though his albums were largely ignored between 1978 and 1981, Prince was maintained on the label as a recognized musician with great potential. By 1982, Prince released additional tracks that aired on MTV and achieved mainstream success, placing in the US top 10 for the first time. He joined a new wave of musicians who understood the power of the music video to promote their work and build their mythology. By 1984, with the release of Purple Rain, Prince was arguably the biggest and most exciting pop star in the world. His growing success allowed him to establish his label, Paisley Park Records, with Warner Brothers providing funding and managing distribution. However, Prince became aware that he was receiving less than he earned and began fighting to claim what he believed was rightfully his. This battle pushed Prince to take an extraordinary stand, writing "slave" on his face during public appearances as a powerful protest against Warner Brothers. His message was clear. Warner not only controlled his name but also held ownership of all the music he had created under it. In response, he made a bold and symbolic move, radically changing his name to an unpronounceable symbol, often referred to as the artist formerly known
is that Diddy didn't let you bring your security in the party.
as Prince. This was more than just a name change. It was a declaration of independence, a refusal to be confined by the industry's attempts to label and control him. As the conflict deepened, Prince revealed in interviews that Warner Brothers had refused to sell him back the rights to his master recordings, something he desperately sought to regain control of his work. In response to their refusal, he vowed to re-record his catalog, creating superior versions of his music. He offered his fans a choice: either continue supporting Warner and the corporate system, or embrace his re-recorded versions, supporting his creative freedom directly. Prince became increasingly outspoken about the industry's oppressive hold on artists, using every platform available to him, interviews, award ceremonies, and public statements, to highlight the exploitative practices he believed were built into the very structure of the music business. He voiced his belief that the industry was intentionally rigged, ensuring that most artists would remain financially dependent on record labels, with only a select few able to break free from the system. In the years that followed, Prince took his battle online, embracing the digital revolution as another way to regain his independence. In 2007, he filed lawsuits against platforms like eBay, YouTube, and Pirate Bay, seeking to protect his intellectual property from unauthorized use. Slowly but surely, he began to regain control of his name and music, ultimately renegotiating his contract with Warner in a way that gave him more power over his creations. However, in a tragic twist, Prince's unexpected death in 2016, under highly suspicious circumstances, raised even more questions about the price he paid for his independence. Officially, it was reported that Prince died at the age of 57 due to an accidental overdose of counterfeit Vicodin, which had been laced with a powerful synthetic opioid. He was found in the elevator of his Paisley Park estate, a place he had once referred to as the devil. This unsettling discovery fueled widespread speculation and disbelief, particularly because Prince had been a staunch advocate for health and wellness. As a vegan who abstained from alcohol and drugs, it seemed inconceivable that he would fall victim to an overdose. Reports leading up to his death indicated that Prince had been struggling with health issues, including canceled performances and a medical emergency during a flight just weeks before his passing. Yet, the most pressing question that emerged was why Prince was not under a doctor's care after allegedly overdosing just a month earlier. The fact that someone as health-conscious as Prince wasn't receiving professional medical oversight added a layer of mystery to an already tragic situation. Shortly before his death, Prince reportedly told guests at a Paisley Park party to wait a few days before wasting any more prayers. This cryptic remark left many wondering if he had somehow foreseen his fate, adding to the sense of inevitability surrounding his untimely passing. Whether he truly anticipated his death or simply expressed his frustrations with the system he had battled for so long, his words lingered in the minds of those who were closest to him. In the aftermath of his death, fans and critics alike began drawing parallels between Prince's fight for independence and the struggles of other artists like Kanye West, who had also spoken out against the industry's exploitative practices. Like Prince, Kanye has fought for greater control over his work and a more equitable environment for artists. Both men have been described as fearless in challenging the industry's status quo, even at the risk of personal and professional repercussions. Prince's influence on artists like Kanye is undeniable, with many seeing him as a trailblazer who set the stage for a new generation of creators determined to reclaim their freedom and voice. Similarly, Diddy, once a close ally of Prince, finds himself in a similar set of controversies. For years, Diddy built his empire by profiting from the works of his artists while maintaining control over their publishing rights. While he has recently taken steps to return publishing rights to some of his former artists, many have argued that these gestures came too late, leaving artists with little to gain. This echoes Prince's warnings about the exploitation of artists by powerful corporations and figures like Diddy and Jay-Z, whom he believed were complicit in perpetuating a system that kept artists from realizing their full potential. Diddy's legacy in the music industry is marked by a long history of controversy, with many former Bad Boy Records artists claiming they were exploited and underpaid. Despite recent efforts to return publishing rights, these artists argue that the rights are now essentially worthless, further demonstrating the complexity of the system Prince tried to expose. Prince, however, was vocal about these practices long before they became a mainstream discussion. He warned other artists about the dangers of being lured into deals that would ultimately stifle their creativity and financial success. His cautionary tales about the music industry were not just about Warner or any one label. They were about the systemic exploitation that he saw as a fundamental part of the industry. Ultimately, Prince's fight for artist rights was not just a personal battle. It was a public one, aimed at dismantling an unjust system. His efforts to regain control over his music and name were part of a larger movement to bring attention to the plight of artists within the corporate-controlled music business. And while his untimely death remains shrouded in mystery, his legacy continues to inspire those who seek to challenge the industry's hold over creators. Prince's warnings about ownership, control, and the exploitation of artists remain incredibly relevant today. His legacy is a testament to the power of artistic autonomy and the need for greater accountability in the music industry. His passing, though tragic, has only amplified the importance of his message, making it more crucial than ever for artists to fight for their rights and reclaim their power. What are your thoughts on Prince's efforts to expose the music industry? Do you believe his fight for artist rights played a role in his untimely passing? Share your reflections in the comments below.